Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. A couple announcements. The research boot camp is coming up July 18th and 19th. It's a Friday night, Saturday afternoon. This is a short version of a very expensive and 8-month long and very hard work class that I teach for health professionals. But if you don't want to do something that costs so much money and you spend 40 hours a month on assignments, what you can do is take this abbreviated version. It's $249 for members, $299 for non-members. Some of you may have smoothie points or membership credits that can carry over to help offset the cost. And I'm going to teach you how to not get taken in by the god-awful information. We're going to talk about some of it today, actually, that's out there so that you can tell right from wrong and good from bad based on your own evaluation, not waiting for somebody else to tell you what to do. As you guys know, I'm a fan of informed decision making where you know, not where I tell you what to do. The second thing that's coming up is the free mastery class for health professionals I teach every year. The content's different, so I promise if you took it last year, I'll have some new things to talk about. I don't like for people to say, oh, I already know that stuff. It is the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of July. It's 3 nights in a row, 8 to 11 p.m. Of course, I will record it so that if the time zone doesn't work for you, whatever, you'll be able to watch it. So if you're interested in clinical skills, if you're interested in how to build your business, how do you attract patients, what do you do when people won't listen to the things that you tell them, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of it. And I'm taking questions. The registration form actually has questions you can write, and I try to conform the curriculum to the things that people tell us that they want to know more about. By the way, the long version of clinical skills starts next week. So if you're interested in that, that's another thing. Lots going on at Wellness Forum all the time. Some of it free, some of it paid, all of it super, super good, high quality. We're known for it, and I'm proud of that. All right, so I mentioned on Tuesday that Heidi and I had turned the manuscript in for our new book. Soon it's going to be a real book in hard copy and e-reader form, and we're going to make an audiobook too as soon as we have a chance to take a breath. Lots going on in the book world, wellness forum world, Make Americans Free Again world, etc. The title is Conversations with Pam, The Power of Informed Healthcare. And it summarizes my life's work, what I've been doing for the last almost 3 decades now, and the importance of building an informed society where healthcare is concerned. By the way, Wellness Forum is, to my knowledge, the only company in the United States that focuses on this. Like, this is our business, teaching people, both consumers and health professionals, how to use data to evaluate all health decisions. And it is so important to use data. I get reminded of this every single day because every day new people join Wellness Forum, and their reasons are that they've consumed carnivore diets that destroyed their health, or they spent thousands of dollars on functional medicine doctors who used bogus tests to prescribe very, very expensive supplements that made things worse instead of better, and who have multiple health conditions and no idea how they could possibly fall into such ill health while hanging out with doctors 4 or 5 times a year or more. So the book talks about that. That's our business, which is one of the reasons you ought to join. And it also covers the disciplined activism, we like to call it, of Make Americans Free Again, why it's so important, and how much there is still left to do to address the problems that the organization started to address back in 2020. And that brings me to the subject of today's video, which is that it's time to recommit. And I'm going to share some really interesting data with you that you're going to want to know. So hang with me here. I'll just start by saying we've had about a 50% drop in donations while expenses go up. So I'm always pretty transparent about why I tell you stuff. That's one of the reasons why I need to talk to you about this. But we need to turn it around because there are a lot of things going on that we should be paying attention to. We definitely should not ignore. All right, so while we're struggling for money, and that's always the way with nonprofits to a certain extent, the well-financed medical cabal is marching on and circling the wagons and figuring out how they're going to use their finances for navigating in today's world, which has changed for them a bit. That's good news. A leaked document it's titled Bio Vaccine Policy Steering Committee, stated April 3rd of this year, and it outlines plans on how to address the problem with RFK, including the potential for removing him. The committee's allocated $2 million toward this project, $2 million. All right. That's more than we've spent in 5 years on legal fees. So one thing you got to remember is the other side can outspend us every day of the week. So we have to outmaneuver them. And we're never going to come up with the same amount of money because we're not in their business. But the document includes this statement to tell you they're serious about it. It's time to go to the Hill and lobby that it's time for RFK Jr. to go. And the Hill is Congress. That's where they're going to, and they're all pharma friendly there. So the plan is to use people from all political ideologies as allies to help. And the reason they can do that is because this isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. Pharma has captured all of the members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. There are 3 pharma lobbyists for each and every senator and congressperson. So anyway, one of these swamp creatures is Bill Cassidy, Senator Bill Cassidy, who's a lapdog for the vaccine industry and extracted a lot of promises from RFK to work closely with him to get his vote for confirmation. The $2 million will finance campaigns like Why We Vaccinate. And by the way, the group acknowledges that this is not an educational campaign, but it's a strategy to, quote, inspire and frighten and manipulate public sentiment and decisions of legislators. So when you have that kind of money to throw around, you can inspire and frighten and manipulate a lot. These actions don't result from deep-seated belief that vaccines are good for humans, but rather that investors are nervous. So it's always about the economics. That's really what this whole healthcare discussion is about from their perspective, which may be more likely actually to influence legislators than the medical arguments will be. BioStrategy is brilliant. It doesn't propose to confront RFK at all or his allies about the science. They're really not prepared, and they know they can't win on the science. Instead, they intend to wage a public relations and influence campaign to make key people really nervous about what he's doing. And if you know anything about politics, they don't like to be nervous. Anything that calms the troubled waters is the action they usually try to take. Novavax, Merck, and Vaxcyte executives expressed concern over ACIP's new caution about things like thimerosal. Now, we were told that it wasn't in the vaccines. So if it's not in the vaccines, I don't know why they'd be so upset about it. But as it turns out, the stuff really wasn't. They were lying to us. And I know that's shocking maybe to a few people who watch this. They lie when the truth fits better. They were also upset about the FDA's slow walking of approvals and the discontinuation of things like the fast approvals and the revolving door. They don't want to see that go. That's where people who work for FDA end up getting jobs, big paying jobs and board positions at big pharma for lots and lots of money. One quote in particular encapsulates what their whole point is. They keep moving the goalposts on vaccines. Yeah, they want like data, the new committee. And data is a terrifying thing when you're a member of the criminal medical cabal. The timing of this is kind of interesting. In just a few months, it'll be back to school time when kids are going to be expected to show up with their vaccine evidence when parents enroll them in school. And it's also the time when Congress gets back into session. So in a couple of months, they can probably gin up enough concern that there will be some discussion about it in Congress. So these people are powerful. They're used to getting their way. And I just think we don't need to panic. We just need to recognize that they're there, that the problem hasn't been solved because we have a new administration. And in fact, I'm going to tell you the extent of the current problem. Last week, during our attorney meeting, the discussion about the raid on the hyperbaric oxygen center that sold mistletoe came up. Our Ohio lawyer reported that he's receiving 2 to 3 calls per week from doctors and nurses in Ohio who are being investigated by the medical board per week in one state. Now, some of them can pay their own fees and some of them can't. I mean, if it's a simple problem to solve, and you probably can do it for $10,000. If you've lost your license or they're really thinking of disciplining you in an important kind of way, pony up 50, 60,000, 100,000. It's not inexpensive to address these issues. So, one state, one lawyer, 2 to 3 a week, you can just kind of imagine what that looks like. You just don't hear it as much right now because during the COVID thing, when we had nothing to do but watch videos all day, we saw doctors talking about getting in trouble and nurses talking about licensure suspensions and that sort of thing. Well, you're not hearing about it, but that doesn't mean it's not going on. And it started a long time ago, as I told you. It doesn't have much to do with COVID. It's still going on right now. Just another problem we need to solve. I want to return to the federal government for a while, just in case you were thinking new people in charge makes it so much better. we see signs that the cabal has already had an impact on the new people there. FDA Commissioner Marty Makary, who I think is probably trying to be one of the good guys, says his agency will work to review certain drugs, which he describes as being necessary to promote, quote, the health interest of Americans in only 1 to 2 months instead of 6 months. The previous people were taking to approve these drugs. In other words, we're going to speed it up. He said in an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association that the agency could start rapid or instant reviews, and he cited Operation Warp Speed as evidence that the agency can respond quickly when needed. And I'll tell you what, that warmed my heart so much because we know how well Operation Warp Speed worked out. Definitely made everything better, for sure, for sure. And so I would like to see more of that, and I'm sure you do too. So here's what he wrote. During the COVID-19 pandemic, review processes that took a year were performed in weeks. We believe this is clear demonstration that rapid or instant reviews are possible. At the FDA, we aim to pilot programs to deliver sponsored a decision in weeks. We're going to make Operation Warp Speed the standard at FDA. Isn't this great, right? Makary says he's committed to addressing conflicts of interest, which is a bit of shining light, but then says, first, he's going to use AI to get this done, artificial intelligence. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you know I put out information showing that artificial intelligence is completely inaccurate. It misses the mark 100% of the time. If the AI said today was Thursday, I would check my calendar just to make sure, okay? And then he says that's going to be one of the things. And then the second thing is going to be warp speed. So AI plus warp speed equals super success for drug companies and the government. And I'm not sure that it really delivers very good healthcare to us. Makary, by the way, goes on to say in this article, he is all on board for removing food dyes. M&Ms without red dye are going to be such healthy foods for Americans. I think that it's going to be so worth the effort to get this done. And of course, if it backfires and Mars can't make M&Ms that people want to buy because they're visually unappealing or they don't taste good, then you might have a different worry, which is the stock in Mars may go down, so your retirement account may become a problem, all in the interest of removing red dyes, because that is really something to focus on. As a matter of fact, it becomes like a shiny new thing that keeps you from thinking about Operation Warp Speed and approving drugs sooner rather than later. By the way, he also, Makary, talked about what a great thing it is to be partners with the drug companies. I've always thought regulators and drug companies should be partners for sure. So I don't mean to sound facetious, but really, I mean, seriously, I think we would just all love to breathe a sigh of relief and say, help is on the way, things are going to get better. Some things are better. A lot of things are not at all. And when it comes to pharmaceuticals and medical institutions and medical research and all this stuff, it is just such a cesspool of corruption that to think that it's going to get solved without citizen involvement is insane. It's just plain insane. We should not wait for that. So it's time to up our game. It's time to recommit. And I'm going to ask you to remember something. Remember back in 2019, toward the end of the year, what you were doing. I know what I was doing. I was co-hosting a fundraiser with celebrities in California to raise money for a nonprofit. I thought everything was fine. We were going to have a great 2020. It was right before the holiday. And just remember how you felt, how calm you were. I was. And then, the new year comes and beginning of the year, you start to hear about this COVID stuff and everybody's saying they are not going to shut down the world. They're not going to shut down churches and synagogues. Oh my God, they're not going to close the schools. They did all of that. And then you went through the period of time where you thought it's going to be brief, but it wasn't. And on and on and on. Okay, so what I see happening is kind of going back to that time people are thinking, it's thank God I don't have to worry about this anymore. We really do need to worry about this some more. It's not over. We haven't solved the problems. We made a dent in solving the problems, but to suggest that in 5 years, because math is 5 years old as of this month, to suggest that in 5 years we could solve problems that took 100 years to develop, we don't have magical powers. Darn it, because I'd be such a good person with magical powers and unlimited funds, I might add. So what to do? All right, I'm gonna give you some suggestions. The first thing is if you haven't joined Make Americans Free Again, do it. The second thing is donate. And if you could afford to donate $5 a month and put it on your credit card, do it. If everybody who watched these videos did that, $5 a month, I'd never have to worry about money again, which would be a beautiful thing because I worry about it a lot, actually. So donate if you can. If it's $1, it helps. Every little bit helps, okay? So join and then donate. The third thing is start a tribe or recommit to going back to the tribe that you were attending. Or if your tribe doesn't meet anymore, get it started again. Our work isn't done. We should not be passive observers of what's going on out there. And last but not least, if you feel inclined, buy things from Wellness Forum. I'm still running 2 companies with one budget, with one set of income. So just think about what your life would be like if you were paying all of your expenses and your neighbors too with the current income you have. That is welcome to my world. That's what I do every day. And I signed up for it, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that if you can help in that area, that helps a great deal as well. So, all in all, are we better off today than we were, at the end of 2020? Yes, in many ways. Are we better off enough to sit back, take our foot off the gas pedal, and watch the show? Absolutely, positively not. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So let's get back to work. Let's get back to our core concepts again. Let's come together. That's what, by the way, what Heidi and I propose in the book is citizen activism in a disciplined way, disciplined activism. These are solvable problems if we choose to solve them. And so it's up to all of us to do that. And I'm asking you to help. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it. And I'll be back to you next week with more news. Thank you so much for watching.